Ding-a-ling, ding-ding. I went up to a performance art festival in Glasgow, a place I really love. On the way there, I bought a suit, a white suit, badly fitting Oxfam pale suit. We went to this performance art festival and then we went out for a drink afterwards, special brew. And we were staying in this estate called, just on the outskirts of Glasgow, I think Sighthill. We were on our way back to the flats where we were staying, which was like big tower blocks, alienation. A group of blokes spotted us and chased us. There's two of us, chased us for miles all the way through this estate. And my only thought was to get across the motorway, fearful, because we would have got thrown off. And one of us ran one way and one of us ran the other, knowing the other one of us would get got. And eventually they caught me and they surrounded me, and they had baseball bats and bits of bus shelter, like long strips of bus shelter with nails in them. And they just started mashing me, just like really going at me with these things, and they were going, kill him, kill him. Scary. I was on the floor and I grabbed one of their baseball bats, fought them off for a bit, and then ran like mad to this block of flats, the nearest block of flats, and rang all the buzzers, with them chasing after me, ran all the buzzers up this block of flat, massive block of flats, and eventually got let in just as they were coming near. I slammed the door shut and ran into the stairwell and ran up the stairwell, and I got to the 9th floor and I just thought, I'm going to sit. I sat down in the stairwell and I used my phone, horrible, to phone my friends where I was going. And they said, where are you, Jonathan? Where are you? And I said, I really don't know. I'm in one of the council blocks, which is near to your house. So I turned around and I noticed on the wall there was blood. And then I was like, wow, it's my blood. And it was coming out the back of my head. And I was like, and it was all over my suit. This kind of new suit had all blood on it. And I said, look, my phone's going to run out. I'm in a block of flats. I'll ring you in 5 minutes. Because I didn't know whether it could have been the block of flats those guys lived in. And I was like drifting in and out of consciousness as well, which was really, it was like I was going to faint once I'd seen that blood. Messy. 5 minutes later, I rang them back and they said, we've got all the concierges looking for you. We've got the police looking for you. But they need to know which block of flats you're in. And I was like, and they said, could you go and have a look at the names on the outside of the block of flats? So I went down to have a look, and it was one of these doors that would shut automatically. So I was like, oh God, I need to be in there. So I took my shoes off and wedged the door open with my shoes, always flapping, and then went out, like, just really worried that these guys would be there. Ran back in again, shut the door, went back up to the 9th floor, and I said, it's sand down. About 3 minutes later, you're right. The police turned up, welcome relief. And they said that this gang was really a bad gang, and they really loved beating up people who were immigrants. And they saw immigrants as a easy option. And they said, actually, wearing that suit, you'd look kind of, it was like a badly fitting suit, and they obviously thought, Jonathan's an immigrant. And they said, we think you should go to hospital. Administration. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, can I just, when I wake up, could I go to the hospital then? And they said, yeah, okay. So they went away. And in the morning, I got up and I went to the Performance Art Festival. Drove to the Performance Art Festival, and the first thing that was on was this woman, Kira Riley, I think her name was. She gridded her whole body up, drawn crosses, and was doing scalpel cuts in every single square all over her body. So she was bleeding at all these different points. And people were just watching it and going, oh God, that is disgusting, you know, like, and wandering off. But I was sat there right at the front going, I'm with you, I'm with you. I understand. And like the pain of her was my pain. It just felt like my pain completely. And she was cutting these scalpels. But I just thought, oh, performance art is so trite. Rolling around on the floor, pretending to be something. You've got to be in a gallery to do this, and it's not like reality. So, and it kind of turned my viewpoint on that kind of body art, live art type thing. I drove from Glasgow to Brighton in about less than 6 hours at top speed, like 100 miles an hour. Enjoyable. They didn't say anything, but they just must have been hanging on to their seats like nobody's business. And I was just like driving at like 120 miles an hour just because I was worried about not getting the car back to the car hire company the next morning. About a week later, I was still walking really badly, and I'd broken the bottom bit of my back. Or they'd broken the bottom bit of my back. So I had to go to hospital, and I had an operation. I never had an operation before. I never had anaesthetic before. Fearful, scary. And it was quite a strange thing that I didn't know about anaesthetic at all, and nobody explained it. And so I had this operation, and then I came round in this ward of 6 beds. I remember it being 6 beds, and it was the, the high intensity ward. It's the people they were worried about most. And I just drifted in and out of consciousness because I was on morphine or something, and the television was on at the end. And then I woke up again, and there was guys talking, and there was one guy, a Scottish guy, where here's the irony, he sounded as though he was from Glasgow, just talking like nobody's business, but really funny, really funny. It was just so entertaining, was this guy. And it made it nice to be lying in there listening to it. It was like having your own comedy performance. So yeah, I woke up a bit and kept on. I was floating in and out of consciousness, and this guy crept out of bed, switched the telly on, and this was the only light that was on the room. The screen was a big screen, and it was showing this autopsy done by this guy, German artist.
Ich habe 2 Fingernägel.
Who was doing a live autopsy all night on the television, and I'd really poured scorn on it when they'd even publicised it. I just think the guy was such a self-publicist, and but everybody was watching it. All of us were lying in bed watching this thing. All of us had just gone through life-threatening operations, a scary black void, and there was this autopsy, and this guy from Glasgow just taking the mickey out of it, and he goes, "Why is the guy wearing a hat? And why is he wearing a waistcoat?" And I was like, he wants to look like Joseph Boyce. Poncy ridiculous. And the guy said, "Who's Joseph Boyce?" And I said, "Oh, God, Joseph Boyce is a performance artist, a German performance artist, and he's dead now. But he used to wear a hat, and he used to do all these things, and he was a bit of a self-publicist, and he used to wear the waistcoat, and this guy's trying to be the same as him and trying to get a bit of the kudos, of the Boyce kudos." And he was going, "Oh, weird that is." And he was just like, and he said, "Do you know about performance art?" And I said, yeah, a lot about it. And part of the reason I'm here is because of performance art. But just trying to explain Joseph Boyce to a whole room full of people that can't move and are on morphine, and it's just hard work. And then I woke up in the morning and I was like, wow, that's amazing. I'm glad I didn't have to watch all that autopsy programme. And I looked around, and the Scottish guy wasn't there anymore. Oh, he died. So this guy spent his last night of his life watching a live autopsy on television, which is just... Where I live in Brighton, I live on the first floor, and I wouldn't have been able to walk, so it was to enable me to stay somewhere on a ground floor. So we got taken to my friend's flat in London in the Barbican concrete. And one of the things they'd instructed me to do was every day walk for half an hour. I went to the newsagents, which was across the road. It took me like half an hour to get to the newsagents, quarter of an hour there, quarter of an hour back, and I was struggling. It was really hard work. And on the third day, no, maybe the fourth day I was there, I thought, well, I've got to extend my quarter of an hour walk, so I can't just be going across the road to get a paper. And I thought, maybe tomorrow when I get up, I'll walk to the St Paul's Cathedral and just touch it and then walk back again. I got up quite briskly actually because I was quite excited about this idea of going a bit further. And I got up and I walked for a quarter of an hour, and I was nowhere near St Paul's Cathedral, which I was probably only halfway there, and I thought, oh God, I'm going to have to carry on. I'm just going to have to see what happens. So I got to St Paul's Cathedral.
Lovely large building.
Walked up the main steps to St Paul's Cathedral, and the guy said, no. I said, I just wanted to touch it. And he said, well, you can't. There's a whole thing going on. I went, okay. So I walked back down the stairs and walked down the side. This guy, who was wearing all ceremonial regalia, was standing there. And I said, oh, can I just have a look inside? He said, oh, have you come for the ceremony? And I went, yeah, okay, yeah. And he just went, oh, come this way. And I got escorted, like, by this guy in ceremonial Lord Mayor of London style kit with ermine and all sorts, into St Paul's and down the aisle, and it was full, absolutely packed full of people. And I got plonked about 4 rows from the front. And like, I was wearing like my pyjamas,
Shame.
underneath my clothes. I think I was wearing my pyjamas, and my trousers just pulled over, and this mac, and my hair was all over the place.
Losing it.
And I looked down the aisle, and it was full of people who all had their hair all over the place, and they had macs and looked like they'd got the pyjamas on underneath, and whatever shoes they could find. They were the vicars of all the different areas around Britain.
Hilarious.
And so I sat down because I really wanted to sit down, and I was feeling like, oh my God, I've gone too far. I've walked too far. What am I going to do? Maybe I should ask the guy in the ermine, could he take me to hospital or get me a doctor or something? All of a sudden, incense. This guy came in doing incense, and all the bishops of Britain, worldwide bishops of the Anglican community, all came in with choirs singing and all this, and I was like, oh my God, incense! And they all stood up, and I stayed sitting, and the incense was going everywhere, and it was the inauguration of the Archbishop of Canterbury, and he came in like hilarious beardy figure, and I was like, shall I get up? Oh my God, there's all these people, it was massive. It was like pack. The whole of the Archbishop of Canterbury's procession came down the aisle towards me, and of course I was the one right in the aisle. I was really off it. I mean, really, I couldn't cope with it, and they went past me, and all these people who were along here next to me, all who were dressed as badly as I were, the guy said, we've got to follow, it's a bit like a wedding, you've got to follow it down the aisle. So anyway, we walked down the aisle to the front door of St Paul's, and out through the front door of St Paul's, and the world's media. They were just all there, all with like cameras and television crews and all these different things. And I walked straight. I was standing. Well, I wasn't even standing behind it. I was like next to him, the Archbishop of Canterbury. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. My friends will think I found religion.
Tyranny.
And so I bobbed down and no, I didn't walk. I like almost crawled behind all these bishops and managed to get out from around the thing. And I got out and I was like, oh, blind. So I phoned my dad and I said, oh, Dad, the weirdest things happened to me. I said, I've just got involved in the inauguration of the Archbishop of Canterbury. And he said, oh, it's live on the television right now. I'm watching it. And I said, you know, the Archbishop of Canterbury, I'm there. I'm there in the picture.
Relax.
I felt so sick. I felt sick that I was there, actually. But I did get to see the inside of St Paul's Cathedral, which is actually quite, without paying the £6 or whatever you have to pay, which actually was really what I was trying to do. It was great because there was choirs, but it was awful because of incense.
Da 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 da.